Well, I figured you guys could have a smoke break with me, and maybe I'll title this Smoke Break 1. I don't really have anything specific to talk about, so, well, just gonna do what I do best, and that's talk. I think a lot. I think all the time from 5 a.m. till I go to sleep. My mind is always racing, always thinking, analyzing. I analyze everything, you know. And one of the things I was really wanting to talk about, but it was hard to do in a short, but might be easier in long form, is the effect of the rock being thrown into the pond and that ripple effect. You know, it's amazing one action can cause such a ripple. You can do a negative. For us men, it's mainly like a relapse. If we let go of our emotions and we allow our addictions to take over, that can have a rippling effect that you don't even want to know. And then there's the positive rocks that we throw into this pond. And it's weird how it's like sometimes you can't even tell the rippling effect, if there is even one. But yet, I'm pretty sure that there always is a rippling effect, no matter what we do. Just sometimes the good deeds that we do take a lot longer to give a rippling effect. And I think that's because the world is so toxic. And one of the things I found is, speaking of toxic, is if our environment is so toxic, that's essentially like a kid grabbing a handful of rocks and just throwing them into the pond. And you throw it into the pond and it just scatters, and there's ripple effects everywhere. And I found that sometimes it's uncontrollable. Sometimes that ripple effect is damaging. And you can only see the ripple effect after the fact, in hindsight. Hindsight is 20/20, or whatever that statement is. And I found that when you change your mindset, you can start throwing more positive stones into the water. And it starts so slow. I remember when I first changed my mental effect, or my mental thinking, I didn't see any change. I didn't notice any change. There is no change. The only change I saw was within me, but then the world and my environments were so toxic that it didn't take long to go back to old behaviors. And then there's some behaviors, like smoking, that just seem almost impossible to get rid of. I was talking to a buddy of mine about addiction, and it's amazing how when you get out of addiction, you can see the rippling effects that those stones make in your pond. And when you get so far away from it, you think, how did I ever live in that world? But yet when you're in that world, there's no way of seeing a way out of that world. And I found that it all starts with the change of your mind. Once you change your mind on certain things, your actions have a side effect. There's a lot of analogies that I can use, but it's essentially like this. Water holds a retention. It holds memory. Just like when you throw that rock, it doesn't just do one ring. It does a ring after a ring after a ring after a ring. Well, our bodies are the same. When I wake up and I tell myself a bunch of negatives, that's what my water inside of me, which it's like 70%, starts vibrating with. I start resonating with negativity. But when you wake up and you put a positive spin on life, it's a lot harder but it pays off more. You notice that after a while, people start noticing how positive you are. And you don't notice how positive you are. You notice how negative the world is. And yet, it took a long time, months almost a year, before people really started seeing a change in me. And the worst part is the people closest to you, they won't notice a change because they'll still remember the old you. And that's what sticks into their mind. It's like when you're starting a new job, it's very hard after a year to get a raise because they still remember the guy that had to be taught everything. And that's the label you hold. And it's hard to get out of. It's best to switch up your environment. So that way, you know, my house at first will see me as purely negative, very negative, always complaining, always. But then I switched my attitude up, and everything changed. Work changed, home changed, but it was very hard to notice. And so my message today is don't give up. Some days it feels like there's no change, and some days it feels like there's a lot of change. But you have to stay strong. You have to stay a rock. The best thing for a man is to be a rock, not a teddy bear, not a lion, but a rock. So, good luck in your journey. I pray for you, and may God bless you. Have a great day.